is, as a director, I have to notice things. Let me see. How close is that angle on me? I can't see from here. Is it fairly close? Do you just see the 2018? Okay, so here's the thing. We all know it's 2018, right? I'm suggesting two things for the next year. AFCA, that's what you want up here. You don't have to keep reminding people it's 2018. And you've got Karen here, back here. I just ask you one thing. Never, ever give an award to Peter Dinklage if you're going to have this podium. Because otherwise you're going to have this. I want to thank you so much from Game of Thrones. You've got to figure out a better... Okay, that's all I'm going to say about that. But I'm very honored to be here. I want to tell you a couple of things. One is, when I was making Ghosts of Mississippi, Merle Evers, who just had her birthday last week, she was one of our consultant on the film, and she when James Woods, who played Byron de la Beckwith, who was the man who assassinated her husband, when she came to the set and Jimmy came out in the makeup, she just freaked out. I mean, she just started crying and run away because she's looking at the man who killed her husband. And I'll never forget the two of the most emotional moments I've ever had in all my filmmaking is one, we shot the sequence where Medgar Evers was assassinated right there at his house, right in his actual driveway on Guine Street in Jackson, Mississippi. And when we scouted the location, I was standing there, and at that time, I have 3 kids now, but at that time I only had two children, and you all know that, he was assassinated right in his driveway died in front of his children and his wife. And I stood there and I started crying. I started crying because just the idea that you could be taken away from your family just because you're black, it got me so that I started crying, and I had to, leave at that point. But then later we were promoting the film, and this was the most emotional thing that I've ever experienced. We went on the Oprah Winfrey show, and Merle had, she laminated, she got this, it was a poll tax receipt that was in Medgar's wallet the night he was assassinated. And she laminated it and it still had blood stains on it from where it was. And she gave it to me on television, right on the air, and that was it. I just started to go, and so that was the most emotional thing that ever happened to me making a movie. Then you go forward many, and that was about 22 years ago, and I went down and they saw Byron de la Beckwith, who was in the jail cell in Hinds County, Mississippi, and he was in this, he was a part of that White Citizens Council, and he was also part of the KKK, and part of the white identity, the Christian identity movement. And he had all this stuff around his jail cell, these pamphlets and things. It was disgusting. I mean, it was absolutely disgusting. This is 1996, so so I thought, we seem to have been making progress. We had, Brown versus the Board of Education in '54. And then we had, as we point out in LBJ, we had the Civil Rights Act in '64, the Voting Rights Act in '65. Mrs. Kramer was talking about Loving versus Virginia in 1967. It was the first time that blacks and whites could marry legally. And then we moved, and Oprah Winfrey did become the biggest star on television. Will Smith was the biggest movie star in the world. And we then have the first African-American president. And we all felt, okay, the promise of America. We're on this kind of glide path now where things are moving in a very good direction. And then something happened. Something happened, and at first I thought, what is this? What is this, you know? And you look at these crowds that would go to these Trump rallies, and you know, my wife Michelle, who's sitting here with two of my kids, Romy and Nick, they're both sitting over here, and they would all say, what is this? Who are these people? Why are they? And they said, well, you know, they're the working class, and they've been left behind by a new economy. No, they're racists. They're racist. And here's the thing. You know, unless they're either complete morons and ignorant, or they're racist, or both, probably both, because if they knew anything about Donald Trump, they knew that his entire political career started with the denigration of a president and the discrediting of a man who was our first African-American president. He started with that. Said he didn't know who David Duke was. And at first you went, no, this can't possibly be. This is like, oh, he's not really a racist. He's just, you know, saying. But then he gets into office, and there are good people on both sides in Charlottesville, and there are people coming from shithole countries, and it goes on, and you see the people that he hires that are in his administration, and we see that this now becomes the last battle of the Civil War. And we're fighting it right now. And we're gonna win, but we thought we were on this glide path. We've been dragged back, and we're going to win, because if we don't win, the promise of what this country started as, which is we are all one, we are all created equal, that promise will not be realized unless we can overcome what has happened in this last election. And I know we will. And even though we're taking that step back, we're going to have a big leap forward. Because if we don't, the whole promise of self-government and democracy will crumble. So I'm very proud and very happy to be here with you. You are the people that are on the front lines, and we're here with you. We're all on the front lines together, because that's the only way we're going to preserve this democracy and realize the fact that we are all created equal. Thank you very much for having me.